want to thank everyone for taking the time and effort to come to Danville to help celebrate the life of Eric Howard Setliff. Some of you came from great distances and we appreciate it. We're going to have a meal afterwards. Everyone will have an opportunity to share memories of Eric. Let me take a few minutes to introduce everybody. A few of us have never seen each other, or it's been a long time. I'm Ron. And I'm married to the love of my life, Pam. She's a sweetheart. She took me on as a mission project. She's still working on it. Yeah.
She's done a fantastic job.
Still working. Here's Keith and Sherry. Sherry's my favorite daughter. Who I believe took Keith on as a mission project also. And Keith, I don't think I could have a better son. Great husband and father. He's also my personal IT partner. We talk every Sunday afternoon. The calls last anywhere from an hour to 4 hours.
Ooh, oh my God, never an hour. 3 to 4 hours.
We've covered everything. We talked about you and you. Let's see. My sister Leilani and Kim. I believe they have a close relationship like Keith and me. Kim's a sweetie, and Leilani will allow you to work for food. I used to visit her several times a year and spend a few days helping with some of the harder things she had to do around the house and yard. She would always reward me with great conversation and great meals. My sister Kathy, she lives in Maduro Hills, California, a suburb a little northwest of Los Angeles. She's the youngest of the 5 of us. Let's see, she retired not too long ago from teaching in elementary school. I tip my hat to you on that one there. You have to be tough. Jeremy is Eric's son. He has 2 sisters, Carrie and Allison. He lives in Seattle, Washington. Tammy and I visited Eric and Jeremy a few years ago. I remember having lunch with him at Pike Place Market. It's one of the oldest farmers markets in the country with great restaurants. Eric always spoke of Jeremy's accomplishments and was very proud of him. Teddy came all the way from Burlingame, California, a suburb of San Francisco. I checked the miles and she came the furthest. Which surprised me. I thought it was going to be Seattle, but I guess the way the West Coast curves, I guess.
I'm going to check the map on
It was only 50 miles.
I beat you by 50.
Let's do it. Teddy's mom and mom were sisters. When mom and dad passed away, 5 kids' lives were turned upside down. My Mickey, Uncle Herman, Grandma, Grandpa, Teddy, Mort, and soon to be Billy had their lives changed also. They took in the 5 of us. I thought about that so many times. Under similar circumstances, would I have done it? I don't know. How many of us would have done that? How many of us would have done that? That was really nice. They were special. Pam and Ed, yeah, it's not here with us, but Pam and Ed, Donna and Mike are with us. Pam and Donna are 2 additional sisters of ours. I moved in their home when Pam was 1 and Donna was born 2 months later. After my military service, I moved back to Danville and have been close to them ever since. When each of them got married, they gave me the honor of walking them down the aisle. Thank you. All right, well, we're going to have a blessing here, and for them we'll celebrate the life of Eric, okay? That's it. That was great. Lord, thank you for another day. Thank you for the opportunity to share memories and celebrate the life of Eric. Thank you for the years we shared. Bless this meal to our bodies, and these memories to our hearts. May Eric rest in your eternal peace. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's have lunch, and then we're going to do some memories.
next generation.
Well, let's go ahead with the next part, if you will. The celebration of life. Eric was born on August 5th. Why these glasses? I was born a little later. Eric was born on August 5th, 1941 in Hawaii.
Should be 4th, right?
I'm sorry?
What is 4th? August 4th.
What does that mean?
Yeah, 4th.
It's the 4th?
Yeah. Because he and I have the same birthday. That's how I remember. We got to admit, hey, pause the video. We'll just edit this.
Was it in Hawaii?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's start again. Start again. Eric was born in February. Eric was born on August 4th, 1941 in Hawaii. The family would say he was a 40 feet from Hawaii. Right? He lived in Hawaii, then San Francisco, then Stockton, California, then San Francisco again, then the U.S. Army, before settling in Washington and Oregon later in life. He passed away on October 12, 2024. Eric and I had a typical older brother, younger brother relationship. When I was about 5, Eric and Elani gave me a bobby pin and told me to stick it in their exercise.
You didn't do it in the right spot.
I did, and bam, it knocked me back. Leilani said it was Eric's idea. Eric never said no, so Keith, you came this close for not being here today. Eric loved to fish. When we lived on Francisco Street in San Francisco, I remember we would go out on the pier, engineer fishermen's work, and fish and do some crabbing also. Sometimes just us, sometimes the whole family. When we lived in Stockton, Eric would take me to the San Joaquin River to fish. Eric used to go fishing with our Nickney in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm sure he took Jeremy, Allison, and Terry fishing at different locations in Washington and Oregon. When we were kids, about 14 and 8, do the math, 6 years old, and Eric would sit on my chest and put his knees on my arms and hit me on the chest with his mouth over and over. Anyway, I'm not sure if he did that because I shot out his model planes and cars with my slingshot and destroyed them. Or whether I did that because of the knuckle drug and I on the front of the slingshot. What was it, Uncle Arthur? True story.
Yes, that's
True story. I remember Eric building complicated toys with his erector set, like a Ferris wheel and other electric-powered toys. It started a future engineer. We lived on Colorado Avenue in Stockton, and Eric would have me run pass routes in the street over and over. As a quarterback in the high school team, football team, he was always working on getting better. For extra money for the family, we'd work in the orchards and the picking area picking fruit. Eric Leilani and I did that. But they also did the real hard work of getting onions out of the ground.
No, they were out. We had to talk to them.
Top them? Hard work, though.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
Eric, when Eric was in high school, excuse me, he had a 49 Ford with a shift on the steering column. Remember those old? And you would do, shift with your right hand, you go first, and second, and third. Well, that took his arm from being around Marlene. So he was like this. So what did he do? He flopped the shift to the other side. So now he has his arm here with around Marlene, and he can go first, second, and third. I've never seen anybody else ever do that. And it must have impressed Marlene because they eventually got married. When we lived on Mickey and Uncle Herman on 35th Avenue in San Francisco, they had a very smart bird, Gangy, minor bird, Gangy. Excuse me. In addition to calling out Teddy, Kathy, and probably a few more names, he mimicked the garbage disposal. He said, "You want an apple?" Hello on the phone rang. Had a loud whistle and laugh. He did more, but I can't remember them all. But one thing he did that really amazed me, he would say, "Where's Eric? Where's Eric?" And then he'd whistle an army tune here in the army now. Remember that one? You can probably tell us a little bit later about some of the other things he did, but it was amazing. As we became adults, Eric always impressed me when we would get together with Aunt Mickey and the family. He would always see something that needed to be repaired and did it. As an example, web lawn chairs that I've not had, he would go get webbing and we'd fix them. He was always doing something like that. While in the Army, Eric was stationed in the Nevada desert during the atomic bomb testing. He would send me pictures of the blast. Wow, that mushroom cloud was something else, really was, back when I first started on that. He would tell me he was safe since he was so far away. However, I didn't find out until Eric and I went on a boat ride last year to Lake Havasu that he actually had to enter craters created by the blast to find out the damage it caused. Eric said several times he would have to get decontaminated more than once to get to a safe level. You can't help but feel that maybe those atomic bomb tests may have contributed to Eric coming down with mild gut cancer. As most of us know, Eric kept to himself most of his life. A common question from his brother and sisters was, "Has anyone heard from Eric?" Over the last few years of his life, that changed somewhat. Out of the blue, he would call, or he would return a call. Believe it or not, we once had a call that lasted almost 2 hours. He was not a long talker. I really enjoyed those conversations and miss him. Little did we know that when we saw Eric at our last Vegas reunion, that would be the last time most of us would ever see him again. I believe Eric really enjoyed that get-together. I know I did. One fond memory for me was when we took that trip down the Colorado River to Lake Havasu on the London Bridge. During that trip, a lady sitting behind us asked if Eric was my father. I thought that was hilarious. Eric, not so much. But I ragged him about the rest of the day. Eventually funded afterwards. The song, I know I haven't had it very long, but I've played some songs here, have in the background here, but these are some songs. Jeremy told me who Eric's favorite artists were, so there's some Roy Orbison, Pretty Woman, Crying, Only the Lonely, Blue Bayou, Jim Croce, Common Bottle, Bad Bad, Leroy Brown, You Don't Mess Around With Me, Elvis singing Danny Boy, and Julie Covington singing Don't Cry For Me, Argentina. All right, last part of that for me is we're recording this, and there are several ways we can see it later. We can post it to YouTube, or if anyone is uncomfortable about that, we can post it and make it private, so not everybody can access it. Either way, we'll make it easy for anyone in the family to see it, or tell another family member how to see it. If anyone would rather not get on the internet, we can go ahead and do DVDs. So please speak loud enough for your memories to be picked up.
Thank you, very good. Very good.
Who's meant for some memories? Speak now, or we're going to talk about it.
I have, Eric was quite a bit older than me, and so we didn't really live together for very long. So I do, my earliest memory of Eric was living on 35th Avenue, and we didn't live there for very long because he never moved with us to Parkside Avenue. He went into the service. And I remember crying and crying and crying when I had to say goodbye to him. Similar to when you came and visited when we were in San Diego, you come and visit for Christmas, and I cried. Well, you know how to do it too. But, so I do remember that. And then I remember also when he got married to Marlene, I was so jealous because he was my big brother and she was taking him away. And I was not happy about it at all. Even though I loved her, I thought she was really sweet. She was. But I do remember being quite jealous and not happy with him. Like he knew that I was angry with him that day of the wedding. I remember like pouting. Oh, and the funny memory was that when I got married in 1975, he knew about the wedding, but he never responded. So I'm getting ready in my wedding dress. We're getting ready to go to the church soon, and soon enough we have a phone. That was before cell phone. So he calls the house phone, and this is Eric. And I answer the phone, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm on my way. I'll be there in about 20 minutes." And I'm like, "What?" I had no idea he was coming. So needless to say, we went to the reception, the wedding, the reception. And I really got to visit with him for about 10 minutes. So when I'm saying goodbye to everybody, I went, "Well, hello and goodbye." And then I went off to the honeymoon. But yeah, I was like, in advance, it always might have been nice. So those are my most vivid memories.
Well, I have some memories too with Eric. A little guy here.
Used to be a little guy.
Little bestie brother. Eric and I were closer in age and older, and so we wanted to play games. Especially Eric liked especially to play Army, which would take away in it. And then little men, and we get the blankets and the hills and valleys, and we always played Army. And then we did play board games, and Ron would come along, and we'd try to get rid of him.
And that was one way, the electric side.
We put it in the wrong spot. And then I remember when we were at Aunt Mickey's, we worked for Uncle Herman in the garage, and we were gluing the film strips on.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we'd have our music on, some of the same songs. And I remember this one time he told me, which was the only advice he ever gave me, because we were close enough in age that some of his buddies asked me out. But this one guy who hadn't asked me out yet, he told me, he said, "When so-and-so asks you out, don't go out with them." And I thought that was serious. He never would ever have told me something. And then at home back in Stockton, I was just at the age when we go to school dances, And Mom wouldn't let me go unless Eric was with me. And so she said, you know, you have to go with Eric. And I didn't want to, and he didn't want to, but otherwise we couldn't go. So we went, get out the door, and Eric said, I'm going to meet you here at such and such a time. Don't get in any trouble. So that's the way that went. So anyway, I had more, but I left my list back in the car. So when I think of it, that's okay.
Good. Who has something else?
Look at that. Well, I was younger than Eric, maybe by 7 years. Yeah. And he would always be working on the old cars, which I thought was pretty cool. So he'd always be out there, his t-shirt on, rolled up sleeves, you know, in those days. But one thing I can say is, my mother used to tell me that Eric, when he came to live with us, in high school, he got straight A's, but he would never do his homework, ever. So the teachers would call my mom to come in and say, hey, he must be cheating because he's not doing any of his homework and he's getting these straight A's. And my mother said, no. And she explained what happened. You know, Mom and Dad passed away. And you know, so they believed her because they ended up giving him a test on something completely different. He couldn't have answers. And he ended up getting the A's. So he was a really smart guy. Yeah. But I always looked up to him. He was great. And I love listening to music. He was listening to you. And so I got started early on that rock and roll, which was fun.
And later in life, when Eric would call, which wasn't often enough, but he would call and it's Eric. Who's Eric? Did I have a brother named? Oh yeah, I think I did. But we would chit chat, and he always bragged on all of you. He just thought you all were doing great. He was very proud of his kids.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear all the parallels, you know, the whole, I didn't tell you I was going to come to your wedding until 20 minutes, classic dad. The phone call frequency, yep. I mean, we would talk, you know, when he moved out of Washington. Obviously we didn't see each other in person as often anymore, but we'd still be in touch. And we would do much like, you know, you do with your boy, and you'd call and you just cover everything, right? What science fiction are you reading? Did you see this TV show? Complain about politics? What's going on in the weather? All of this stuff, you know. So we would do that, and I would have, you know, longer than an hour conversations. I'm jealous, but yeah, he would always, you know, when I talked to him, he would always brag about my sisters. You know, he'd brag about his sisters, or eventually when he had grandkids, he would brag about them quite a bit. I always felt, you know, I felt sad when he moved out of Washington because, you know, that's where I am, and it wasn't as convenient to meet up with them and have lunch and shit. But I always felt good that he was with family still. And I always felt good that at least one sister was there, Carrie. Both her daughters are there. And then I guess he's my great nephew, Bentley.
Taylor?
Yeah, Taylor's son. And yeah, he just would talk nonstop about Bentley and how smart he is and just how he's, you know, getting on the computer late at night, learning about this and learning about that. He's into dinosaurs, and I unfortunately didn't really meet him until I was going down there to help, you know, last year. And super good kid. I mean, I can absolutely see why, you know, my dad put him in high regard. And so I remember that too, just growing up and every time, like, oh, Allison's doing so well. She's a CPA, she's an accountant. I'm like, do I need to be an accountant when I grow up? Like, is that an important role? Like, okay, so that was in the back of my mind. And, you know, and like, Carrie, she's such a good coach, such a good mom, blah, blah, blah. I actually spent a lot more time with Carrie. We'd go down there and, you know, stay with them. We'd drive down there. Oregon wasn't too far, you know, Allison out in Arkansas and stuff. So then there was another sports element to it, right? Allison's doing so well. She's, you know, killing it on the basketball team, and then they're going to state. And I'm like, I need to be good at sports now, you know? Like the bar was getting up there in a lot of regards. So, you know, I do remember that quite a bit. But,
He was telling them the same thing about you.
well, I hope so. You know, I never did. I don't like math, so the old accounting thing that was a deal breaker for me. But you know, I did play a lot of sports, and so he was really supportive of me with sports, multiple sports actually. I played a lot of baseball when I was really young. I was in the Boys and Girls Club. You know, they got me into that. I played a lot of baseball. I played that pretty much up until slightly after high school. And that's one of those things that happens while you're a kid that you don't appreciate. And I remember coming home every day. I get off the bus and I'm walking to my house, and in my driveway, I mean, I'm living with my mom at this point, my stepdad, you know, and in the driveway, there's my dad, he's waiting, you know, drove all the way from Gig Harbor to come pick me up, to take me to baseball practice every day.
Wow.
And it's like an hour every day, you know, and that was like our thing. And so, again, as a kid, you just like, oh, here's my ride, you know, and as an adult, I was like, holy shit, like, this is, who does this? Like, who does this? And then when I would spend weekends with him, you know, we're out there like, okay, let's play catch, you know, he was my guy, he was like, this is my dad, you know. And I remember one time out in Gig Harbor, there was a baseball field that nobody really used, and so we'd go out there and, you know, we'd throw the ball around, and, you know, I was a pitcher, and so it was kind of hard for him to play catcher, you know, he's down on his knees and stuff, and I throw one in wild, and I'm gonna hit him in the knee or something like that, or somewhere else that, you know, is more painful, but, so we ended up getting this, like, netting system, and the whole idea was that if you hit the middle of this net, the ball comes back to you, right? So from his perspective, he's like, great, I don't have to catch this kid's wild pitches anymore, and he's still gonna get the training and practice, right? So he's putting this thing together on the field, and whatnot, and young me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know, Dad, this thing doesn't seem like it's gonna work, you gotta be kidding me. And so he gets it going, and it just didn't seem as spongy, you know what I mean? Like, how is the ball gonna return to me? And so I'm standing like 3 feet from this thing, and I'm like, Dad, I'm sure this ain't gonna work, watch this. And I huck that ball, that thing comes back, hits me in the jump, so he falls over laughing. I'm just in the ground like, this was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. And he's crying on the ground, dirt everywhere. And we have a legitimate debate on whether we should submit to America's Funniest Home Videos. But I also remember the cars. You know, I'd go over there to the house in Gig Harbor, and it was always a car project. Always, it was a truck, really. It was always a truck project. We probably had parts for 3 or 4 Chevy trucks in the garage. If you just put them all into one, which was the goal and the concept, but I don't know, we kind of lost track of that over the years. And I remember the Mustang, the Mustang GT 5-liter, which was actually the car. I remember we went down to somebody's quinceañera.
Jenny.
Right. And so we drove. My dad, I got out of school, which was super cool as a kid. I was probably in like 5th grade, and you're like, what, I got a free pass to get out of school? Takes me out of school. They gave me some homework. I think I had to name one city in the state for every alphabet letter or something like that anyway. So we take the Mustang, we drive down, driving through Death Valley and all these things, down to this quinceañera. We did Disneyland, we stayed at Kathy's, man, and those were like the trips that I remember the most as a kid, you know? And on top of that, the family reunions, you know, a couple in Hawaii, you know, we went to Teddy's, we went to Vegas, you
I
know?
stayed at my house for a week, all of you. Well, some of you were at Aunt Elsie's house, and the rest of you were at my house for a week. That was
Yeah. But all of those, I mean, those are the only family reunions that you know, I did. My mom's side never did anything like that, so I mean, those trips were always really special. But I mean, you brought up this one last year, you know, and I mean, I kid you not, Ron, I thank God that we all did that. I really do. I mean, he was so excited to go. We talked about it a lot leading up to it. I mean, the excitement was there. He hadn't seen you guys in a while. I mean, I know that was super important to him. He talked about you guys all the time to me, you know. It was always important, but you know, this side of the family and all the stories almost felt like a different, you know, kind of life for me, you know, because I wasn't around you guys growing up, you know what I mean? I mean, I knew you guys existed, and I just knew that there were these super aunts, you know, that were like, showed me pictures of Nikki at whatever age she was. She's just got a big salmon. She's fishing right out in the ocean. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm 22. Like, are you kidding me? So I think just all those stories and hearing those growing up and stuff like that about the life you lived before you kind of settled down in the Pacific Northwest has always been, you know, interesting and intriguing. stuff you guys do. I mean, even this run, I mean, I gotta hand it to you, man. I mean, this is the preparation and stuff you do, man. Thank you, seriously.
Well, all right.
Oh, you did most of it, I give you that.
Okay. You didn't do that.
Well, was a very, I'm not, well, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say whether, you know, he didn't call you guys enough. I mean, trust me, he was always thinking about you guys and talking about you guys. And I'm glad he called you guys, you know, maybe in the last year. And he would always be like, I gotta call Ilani, like, I gotta talk to Ron. And so I think it upticked, but I think that was probably a product of just the situation, you know. It was never his intent to, like, not reach out and not stay in touch with him. It was just his nature. Like, he was like that. I think my mom would tell me, of course, like, I get a lot of that stuff from him. I get a lot of the whole, like, I'm not gonna do my homework, I'll just pass the test. Like, that resonated with me. Seriously, like, oh, okay, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, towards the end, he was just, you know, he was always looking at that phone. And,
We had a lot of conversations.
yeah, I wanted to touch base and reconnect. And again, I just, man, I'm so happy that we were all able to do that in Laughlin.
Sure.
And those were real special to him. And I just,
And we loved walking.
he did, yeah. Yeah.
One of the beginnings, I just went along to Grandma and Grandma's residence area. And then Agnes told me later that he cried. It was such a good memory.
Yeah, we went, one of the ones, we went up to Hobby and we were in the town and we were renting ATVs, I think, from a little area. And I kid you not, there was a picture on the wall and I was like, is this so-and-so? And I can't remember who it was, but we talked to the owner and they're like, oh yeah, you're so-and-so? I mean, you could tell that was like
The family.
exactly, you know, and so that was always special to him. And yeah, just hearing all those stories, you know, I came so late that, you know, these were like legends and myths and
When we
stuff.
lived in Honolulu, Gwen and I, our cousin, would go and stay with Grandma and Grandpa for a week or two during the summer. And then Eric and Leland would go. So he and Leland had that good connection, staying with Grandma and Grandpa. And it was good times for us. Our grandparents were good people.
I have a question. We called Eric Tadpole.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from. Did he play with a lot of frogs when he was young? Is that where the name?
I think because he had long legs when he was a
Is that what it was?
It was when he was a baby.
We all had nicknames. He was Tadpole.
How did we come up with the name Pee-wee?
Yeah, she was Pee-wee. Maybe you were little or something. I don't know.
Apparently at some point that could have happened.
I know, the nicknames are so cute. He was always Tadpole.
It was funny, like, you were born on August 4th, and my son Tim was born.
Yeah, and I remember he told me this story. He's like, yeah, I think I called you, and then you were like, oh, well, I just had a kid.
No, I called him.
Yeah, okay.
And, yeah, Tim was born on July 30th, and then by the time I got home and got settled and started calling people telling me I had a baby, I think I either called him on the 4th or the 5th, and I said, hi, how you doing? I have some good news. And I said, I just had a baby boy. And he goes, so did I. So you guys are literally 4 days apart.
Yep.
Yeah. And this just came to mind afterwards too. The most time I spent with Eric at a same time, other than the time that we lived together when I was really little, was when he came one time when I was living in the same house I'm in now, and he came and he had business somewhere, I don't know if it was LA or someplace, but he was with us for a week, if not 10 days. And he would go out by day and do his thing, then he'd come back and, you know, I'd always dinner with him and the rest of the family. But that was the time when I got to ask him, he might not have liked it, I've done the same thing here. I used to ask him so many questions about my mom and dad because I never had any memory of that. So, and he would, just like you were always, he'd be very obliging and loving, answering all my questions as best he could. And that meant a lot to me. That was like the most meaningful conversations we ever had was during that time, and that meant so much. But getting back to the thing about calling at the last minute, your sister Allison and Carrie used to do the same thing. Because when they were living with Lana, what state were they in? Not Oregon, but Arkansas. They would come visit and they'd come out frequently, and they would call me along the way. said that this was when I was living in a 2-bedroom house, not my house now is that much bigger, but it was, at least I had 4 bedrooms then. But anyhow, they'd come and they'd say, okay, we're on our way, can we stay? And of course you can. So, they get the big blue sleeping bags, they put the sleeping bags out on the ground, and they'd stay for maybe one night, often maybe 2. But that happened maybe once every couple of years. And then when they were old enough, Carrie and Allison would just come out by themselves. And they say they didn't even stop to go to the bathroom. I said, how could you possibly do that? Because it was this little teeny tiny car with a coupe, like a lift up to the back. And they said, oh, we got it down. We've got the sandwiches here. One of us drives, the other one sleeps. So all we have to do is stop for gas and go to the bathroom. They literally nonstop on the road. They'd be going to my house. And then they'd stay too. But again, it wasn't like calling from Arkansas saying, Aunt Kathy, I'm on my way. Are you going to be available? They would just call like, an hour out. We're on our way.
Almost there.
I think Allison still does that. She does that to Carrie sometimes.
Yeah,
Carrie was just like, yeah, she just shows up like I'm in your neighborhood. I'm at work.
Oh, and I do remember visiting them with Grady. We were going up to his family in Coos Bay. Eric wasn't there, but because Grady's family lived in Coos Bay, Oregon, so we were up the way, and I had called her ahead of time to say we're coming, and she had us spend the night, and she was working at a bowling alley, Lana was, and so she didn't tell us to go to the bowling alley. She goes, oh, go right to the house, the girls are there, they're going to make you dinner. Well, they were little. I mean, they were like 9 and 11. I was like, they're going to make us dinner? And they did. We had tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. And I was like, wow. My voice wouldn't know how to do that. But yeah, so all that brought back additional memories, so that's sweet.
It was funny, I was talking to Carrie last year, and Dad's always raved about her cooking, and that's again part of the reason why I was thankful he's down there. I don't cook, so like at Thanksgiving, this guy's not getting a good meal. We would go to Safeway and buy something, and I mean we had our routines when I spent time with him. He made a mean grilled cheese sandwich, and we had our special things, but by no means are we like Emerald Lagasse or anything like that. So Carrie, she's got the gift. It was later last year when I was talking to her, I was like, where'd you pick this up? And she actually said that she got it from my mom, from her time when she would come up and stay with my dad. And this is before I was born, and they were in either Grants Pass, Oregon at the time, or somewhere. She's like, yeah, your mom was a really good cook, and I just learned to really love cooking. And I'd never known that until 44 years old, I thought that was always special, but he was definitely a foodie. He appreciated everybody's best. Probably would have loved strawberry pretzel.
In Oregon, and we weren't around yet, and stayed with me and Lana and 2 girls, and he cooked us salmon on the grill that we caught. It was really good.
Well, he definitely, like you said earlier, he was a fisher. We did fish a lot. We'd go and, we like lake fishing a lot. We'd catch trout on the lake and stuff like that. We did go out on the sound a couple times, and I think I caught one decent-sized salmon, but for the most part, we like the laid-back kind of camping vibe, and that's what I remember growing up as a kid. But yeah, he would cook that stuff right then and there. Yeah, he had baked potatoes wrapped in foil, thrown in the fire. Well, I mean, yeah, we did all of that.
That's some good cooking.
Those were some good memories too, for sure.
My mother had great memories of him going up to Clam
Yeah.
and fishing with Mom. My mother would go up 3 months out of the year in her 70s and 80s, and Eric would come and stay a night or 2 when she was in that little trailer.
He really loved that.
Yeah.
He loved those times.
She had one little burner and she would make a great dinner. I don't know how she did it, but yeah. And that one little, yeah. So she looked forward to his visits. And I think he looked forward to it. Yeah, to visit. Good memories.
Who else? I don't have a personal story of Uncle Eric per se, but I feel like through Dad's shared stories that, and the family reunions that I got to know your dad in a way that the distance between us really couldn't, I couldn't have that, without these stories. And I know the military connection. Dad would tell me stories about the bombing ranges and nuclear testing and so forth. So I know your dad was extremely proud to serve in the Army and honorably served in the Army. So I got to do a little thinking. In the Air Force, we have core values. It's kind of like a baseline of how you should act or your character. And so I didn't know if the Army had that or not. So I did a little research. The Army does have a set of core values that I'm sure Dad would have adhered to, and probably taken from the military into civilian life. I don't have those memorized. I do have the Air Force, because I was forced to memorize them. But the Army, I don't, but I have a cheat sheet here with me if you guys want to listen to the Army core values.
Yes.
So we have respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage, and loyalty, and duty. Jeremy, I'd like to give this to you, and from time to time take a look at it. Remember your dad's commitment to our country.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I wonder if he went to the Army, because our dad went in the Army, was in the Army.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. I mean,
Why he chose him.
yeah, why? I think that my impression was always that that was just a road to take, and I think,
We had to choose between the services, you know, we decided.
yeah, and why one over the other, I don't know, but I think just going into a branch of the military just felt like this is the thing somebody of his age does, and, he was, wouldn't call this situation weird, it was uncommon, right? He's being raised in a pretty busy household and stuff like that. Maybe he felt compelled to just go and take the next step, and that was probably not an uncommon decision back then. But yeah, we never really talked about
Was he drafted? I don't remember.
I don't think
I don't think they drafted at that time.
I don't think.
My time in high school, they drafted.
Yeah.
Senior year.
Yeah, they did it back
67,
then, too.
66.
That's our eldest one.
Huh.
Korean
I
War?
remember.
That was Korea? Is that the time frame? Korea?
Well, Eric's after Korea. He was
Just after Korea.
59. So,
the.
yeah, they still haven't drafted.
Were they doing that?
I was the last draft class of 75.
Okay, you were?
Oh, okay.
Well, 71, 71.
I mean, I always think back to that story that he told us, how he would tell people like, I was in the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Technically, yeah. But
You
that was a
picked that
crazy
up?
story.
41.
That was a
41,
crazy
yeah.
story.
Because he was born on August 4th, 1941, right? So he was a fetus.
Tomorrow is the 7th, the Sunday is when the attack happened. So tomorrow, 7 years ago, 77.
Yeah, because the story was, Mom put him in a drawer, right? That's what I heard. Like he was like very young, and they just to protect him.
Really?
Were they in Honolulu or were they in?
I guess.
Yeah, because we were staying with Grandma and Grandpa,
Okay.
or our dad was in the war.
Oh, okay. So that's what they had. Yeah, because there's a story with the family on LC, I think, worked at Pearl Harbor as a secretary. And
And Agnes was there?
Agnes, was she there? Margaret was there.
Okay.
And I think Uncle Fred also worked at
And
Pearl Harbor.
Uncle Ed.
Uncle Ed, and then there was a cousin. Wasn't there? Was it on Emma's son, maybe?
Or maybe Aunt Louise's.
Jimmy, or maybe Aunt Louise's son.
Yeah, there was another one.
Another one. Anyway, the night before they had furlough where they let
Wasn't it
everybody.
at Elsie's party, the
It
birthday
was on
party?
Elsie's house in
Where the
Honolulu.
birthday party was.
Is that what it was? Yeah. Anyway, they all slept there the night before, so they all went out to dinner, and they all were in the car, maybe 6 of them, driving along the ocean there, and all the ships were lined up. And Uncle Fred said, "Ooh, perfect hit for the Japanese," not knowing the next day Pearl Harbor was going to
And
hit.
didn't he oversleep and went overslept?
So Aunt Elsie was supposed to wake him up, and the alarm went off, and I guess they were all drinking, so she turned off the alarm, went back to sleep, and saved their lives. Yeah. And that's the story. Yeah.
I think she said he could have been court-martialed, except they needed him at the moment.
Yeah, and so then they had to go to Pearl Harbor and save their lives. Interesting. And Uncle Fred saying, all the ships are lined up perfect for the Japanese. Yeah, I know, what a story. So that's one story.
So I just always think like that event, and obviously the happening, and all the stories around it, maybe propelled him into service in some way.
Yeah.
Could be.
Well, then there was martial law. Everybody, I guess, on the Big Island had to block out all their windows, couldn't go out, blackouts and all that, yeah.
But then the servicemen came in.
Then the servicemen came in, and then my mom
And our
said,
aunties were
oh,
very happy.
my mother was a senior in high school. And
It
she
was the
said all the
perfect
men
age.
used to whistle, going, you know,
Yeah, they
have the
were
girls
perfect
go to
age.
school.
Had the island invaded by military.
Yeah, all these
men.
military men all of a sudden came in
Who
town.
cares about the war?
Oh,
They
gosh.
tell some stories.
Yeah, so it was a bad time, but it was a good time for them too.
That was really true.
Yeah.
Grandpa was worried about all of his daughters.
Yeah.
Because there was a USO and they went to dances.
And they did. They came and asked Grandpa if they could have a couple of his daughters, you know, go chaperone to the dances and take them back home. Yeah, they did all that. Yeah.
And some of them got married.
And some of them got married.
That's it.
Yeah.
Life is strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, like Keith, I don't have any specific stories, but I just have memories, you know, from the reunions and when we went to visit down in Oregon. And I can still picture this one time, I don't know where we went, but like, there was snow on the ground and I was wearing shorts for some reason. Like the weather was warm, but there was snow on the ground. I thought that was the coolest thing. But what I remember about him is his smile. And Laron, you have a very similar smile, I think. He was always seemed very happy and kind, and he smiled a lot. And I just, as a kid, just felt really comfortable around him and enjoyed being around him. He seemed like a very kind person.
Thank God for our
Just
family
happy all the
reunions,
time.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, really,
Thank God.
all these opportunities to share the stories, connect the dots, share the photos, I mean.
And know your family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We didn't thank our aunties for that.
yeah, I
For sure.
think he always
Yeah.
credited them a lot for just being
Right.
glue.
They always
in a
wanted
lot
to
of
keep the
ways.
families. I know Mom always had the family come over, and we went to Aunt Elsie's house, we went to Aunt Margaret's. It was important, yeah. I feel bad because my son doesn't know a lot of family.
And we
you know.
all do, we were so scattered.
I know, yeah.
It's a good way to put it though. My dad, every time we would do one of the family reunions, it wasn't just the casual like, "Yeah, let's take a trip to Hawaii." There was this like sense of importance and urgency to it. Like he really wanted to not only attend himself, but he wanted you to go and understand the family. And then he made a point to like, this is on hand. You know, Nikki, yeah, you hear stories. Here's all these people. You know, and it's important to them. I think
I'm
that-
sad because I felt that way toward Keith, and I'm glad he was able to go.
Yeah, because you just connect all of the things, and just like I said, it's another life. Because I can very much see that how he, you know, from Hawaii to the coast and then in the military, like that was kind of several chapters in his life. And then he moved back to Washington, right, away from brothers and sisters and a lot. And then all of a sudden, here I am, right? It was almost like a completely different chapter, right? So being able to kind of bridge those two, I always thought felt like it was important to him. He wanted, he really enjoyed all the reunions.
Yeah, we always felt he did, that he wanted to keep the family connection. It was just when we weren't visible right now, then he left.
Yeah, he just, you know,
He didn't keep as much engaged as we were.
yeah, I think that was just, you know, hearing about it, you can kind of hear all the elements of it, right? Why he was that way, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably a lot like that too.
When
He
you
just-
called, he was present. It was
Yeah.
like it was yesterday, you know, that we talked.
He just needed somebody to like, he needed the opportunity to be there, not necessarily to create the opportunity. Like, I'm not going to organize a family reunion, but he would show up, right? Or, you know, he wouldn't necessarily reach out and pick up the phone type of thing. So that, that was just always his nature, I think, really laid back. These are all my products of that.
I just remembered another memory. This is all coming back. Brady and I, he had family in Oregon, so it was another trip going up to Oregon. We stopped. We did go to, I think your dad was living in Gig Harbor at the time. But we didn't go to his house in Gig Harbor. We met him somewhere, and I forget where, but he took us to Tacoma. Was there a waterfall somewhere around there? He took us, he was generally, we were in his car, and he was generally just showing us around the sites. But I remember we stopped at this one place.
Yeah, probably was São Paulo we call. It's actually closer to where I live now.
Okay, then that was probably it. He took us there and he took us around, and we didn't spend the night with him, but we spent a good portion of the day while we were there. And, yeah.
Yeah, he had Christmas out there. My sisters would come up from time to time, bring the kids, and we could, Christmas on Big Harbor, which was fun.
He was up that mountain, wasn't he? Those big trees all around the house.
Yeah, man, yeah,
What kind of trees are those, bird?
I don't know, they're giant,
They're giant.
like
green.
home records. Yeah.
I know we're getting technical here.
You got pretty lucky a couple of times with those windstorms that are not uncommon now. Yeah, there was a couple close calls to the house.
Tree farm.
Yeah, just, I mean, like we said earlier, you just kind of can't keep up with these things, and look out in the backyard. I'm like, over there, I'm like, this seems like a problem, Dad. Like, we have to like sort this out.
So these trees here are small.
Significantly.
It was like he was in a forest.
Yeah.
Clearing for the house. It was surrounded.
Yeah, I mean, they get you from all sides, and they're giant. Whoever bought the house after, they did an amazing job. We went out there. He always had a storage unit with a bunch of this stuff. He was into collecting these Budweiser mugs. I don't know how we got into this, but he had a substantial collection of Budweiser mugs. I think it became a hobby later on. He was buying them on eBay and he'd call me, and that'd be a part of our conversation. I got this one, it's like blah, blah, blah. Like, okay. But he needed a place to store them when he moved down to Oregon, and he never got rid of the storage units. At the end, I'm like, let me sort these things out for you. So I went back to Gig Harbor, and I'm like, when I'm here, I'll check out the house. I was like, wow, all those trees are gone. There's like a whole nother, like, almost guest house in the back. I was like, wow, that was amazing. I didn't know that the potential was there growing up. I just remember he would work downstairs. He worked on construction. He did a lot of drafting and whatnot. So it's funny the little things you learn from your parents. He, engineering minded, and he did a lot of blueprints and stuff. And so his writing was all capitals, very block letter-ish,
Beautiful writing, actually.
but very crisp and clean. And I write like that, and people often see that and they're like, oh my God, your handwriting is like really good. And I'm like, I don't know how I picked it up. I never had a conscious thought like I'm going to do that. I just was like, this makes sense to me, and so I write exactly like him. I picked it up from. He would throw me $5 so you start off with the big blueprint, and he would do all this stuff because he was good at math and all that stuff. But up in the right corner was kind of like a bill of materials, if you will, and you just needed a line to put on that stuff. But he didn't want to take the time to pencil out the line, almost like creating an Excel file on paper back in the day. And so he didn't want to do that. So he'd be like, for every sheet you prepare for me, where I could put all this stuff up there, I don't want to make the grids myself. I'll give you $5. So every time I needed money and I'd go over on the weekend, I'd go down there and I'd do this thing until my wrist was hurting. And I'd get some spending money, and go back and do whatever. But I'd just put him in the drawer so that when he's doing his work, but it probably helped him out. He didn't have to waste his time doing that. But yeah, he picked up a lot of weird things.
Yeah, Tammy noticed that about being food. We do caps and small case.
Yeah, it's,
It'll mingle.
who knows why.
Yeah.
Kind of morphs in here on the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. He was always a 49ers fan, which I guess makes sense.
He's
But
always a good man.
yeah, the rivalry we would have as a kid, I was a Cowboys fan. I don't know why. I think I just really liked blue.
Right.
Nothing more complex than I just like blue. And so, yeah, back when the 49ers and the Cowboys were going at it, boy, man, we would have we'd watch games. Yeah, the trash talking was pretty legit. Yeah.
We understand.
Ron and I were talking about that yesterday, how he used to take Mort to Kezar, to the 49er games, long time
Yeah,
ago.
I was penalized. I had to babysit. Uncle Herman could take us on the 40-yard line. He would take me and Mort to the game. We'd watch the whole game. We'd actually stay after the game a lot of times, get down on the field. John Brody was a quarterback back then. You actually got to shake hands with him. And Mort was a good kid. I have to worry
He
about
was
it.
easy going.
He had to go to the bathroom by himself. No problem. After the game, we'll run from pick us up. I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
It couldn't get any better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, I always felt like San Francisco's kind of a special time for him and all that stuff. That's why I probably still remember that store we went to, backseat. It was just crazy. And
Well,
then
San Francisco was a great city, hopefully it's gonna get rid of it.
I hope so.
I think we even spent time looking for the house when we were there driving
On
around.
35th.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we ever found it, but maybe
It's still there.
I don't know.
One day I want to knock on the door.
Whose house is that now? Where we
I'm not
live?
sure. Yeah, it must have been where you guys
We
lived.
lived on 33rd and Geary at one time.
Yes, we did.
And then after France passed away, we were at 33rd and 4th.
And we were Fisherman's Wharf too.
Yeah, Francisco Street, 500 Francisco Street.
Yeah. And he had a bike route. And he was walking with a wagon. So I was enlisted to help him pull that wagon.
Enlisted,
Yeah, for a long time. He tossed me, and I'd be pulling the wagon. And Uncle Bill stayed with us for a few weeks. He was an uncle that was a merchant marine. He just showed up in town every now and then.
Yeah.
With lots of money in his pocket. So he bought Eric a bike to do his bike routes. I didn't have to ride it anymore. I like that.
Uncle Bill was a character.
He was a character.
Yeah, he was a kid. My mother picked him up at the bars.
Yeah,
She
she
would
tried
come
hard
in.
to keep him straight.
Well, he'd come in with all this money and go to the
Spend
bars, and the
money
women would
girls.
try to take the money away, so the bartender
And they
would
did.
call my mother to pick him up before that happened.
Yeah.
And she would bring him home.
Go back out to sea.
That's your brother, yeah.
Well, she took care of him.
She did. She did.
Yeah, I think she got him into a retirement home or something.
Mm. Yeah. But I have good memories of going to Stockton when Mom and Dad were still alive.
Yeah,
Yeah, we would go there often.
yeah, that's why your dad came, not often, but he did
So he's
sometimes.
probably working, yeah.
And he loved my mother's chocolate pie. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. I
Yeah,
wish I had that recipe.
yeah.
She'd always make it for him, because he liked it.
I'll look in the recipes and see if I can find it, send it to you. Yeah, I remember jumping on the bed one time and broke open my chin, flying off the bed. But we had fun. It was always in the summer. The sprinklers were going outside and we would run back and forth in the sprinklers.
We had good times.
We had good times, yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
So the video you're talking about, I had some of that with Uncle Bill in the driveway.
Oh, do you?
It was a little inebriated.
Oh, yeah. Well, after being out at sea, I guess I like to come back and enjoy life a little bit. Yeah, it was always a single guy.
Yeah, really, right.
Yeah. Wonder if he had any kids, but he didn't know
Let's not
about
go
me.
there.
Might be in our
No, let's
ancestry.
not do it. Let's not do it.
DNA.
Yes.
Send it to
North Carolina, North Carolina.
That's right. Colonial settlers.
Oh, gosh.
Well, as you can tell from all the memories, we're family,
Yeah.
but we're friends too.
This is the only memory that really stands out for me for Eric is his relationship with Ron. You know, even though when I would see them together, they were older, they were still kind of like two little boys. And when we were in Laughlin, how old were you guys when we were in Laughlin?
Not sure.
Yeah,
83 and 77.
83 and 77. So the two of them spent several hours on the boat on the way to Lake Havasu. And Eric could not wait to get back from that boat trip to tell me that Ron was flirting with the women who were sitting next to him. Just like two little boys.
Well, after she called him my dad, I had to flirt. But
She got real pretty real quick.
Okay, you made me cry.
I know we made a car for that
JD and not
last year.
Well, I was
Because God,
probably like two.
Oh, so you were young.
Yeah, he's really only dad I knew.
Okay, yeah. So Eric would have been maybe 4.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
So probably probably y'all's dad looked the most like JD.
Oh, he did, and
Yeah.
this is kind of bad to say, but we have pictures of JD in the casket.
Mhm.
And it's always been very scary when we were growing up for us to look at those
Right.
because it looked just like that.
Yeah.
And this, you know, because he was younger, how old was JD when he passed?
38.
Was in Concho, right?
So young, right?
Mhm. And Daddy was the baby of the family. So was he a good dad to you all?
He was strict, but he was a good man. And,
I remember when I came here with Grady, when I met
Yeah.
all this, I mean, I remember you and Tammy were so gracious to get everyone together at the park, and we sat in a circle, and everybody. So. Get it, yes.
No worries.
It's your fault.
I remember that too. I remember Peggy was there. And she was so excited to see you. So excited. And I remember that Grady got so tickled at Peggy's husband. What's his name?
Rudy.
Everybody got to.
And I guess Grady never been around, I mean, Rudy cornered him and said, he's from California, ain't you, or something like that. Anyway, Grady just, he could not stop laughing.
Well, he would do that to me. You were Nate, weren't you?
And poor Mike, you worked good here, don't you? You worked every single Christmas we got together.
Right.
So-
Every year.
Yeah.
I remember Grandma Setliff talking about how beautiful your mother was.
Oh, always.
And she used to say she thought that JD died from a broken heart.
I always thought so too. Eric and I remember you being part of the conversation because you were younger. We decided to call Aunt Mickey and said, hey,
Because for a while there, actually, we were taking care of
yeah,
Dave and Kathy.
yeah. Yeah, I was picking Kathy up, no, Debbie. Well, maybe
I wasn't in school yet, I was only 2.
I know, but when I got out of school, it was my job to come by and pick you up after Mom died and bring you home with me until Dad got home. And unfortunately, Mom was a great cook, but she hadn't taught me to cook. And I was supposed to be making dinner. I don't know how that happened, what happened with dinner, but we were getting by until he disappeared. And then Eric and I thought, we need to get somebody to come get us. And then Mickey came.
Yeah, she got the phone call. She told me who came to pick you guys up. She
Yeah.
was worried about your well-being.
And we were supposed to go back. He was supposed to make arrangements, somehow, get a better situation, but it never happened.
Well, she was worried.
Oh, yes, she was.
We were talking about yesterday when we got in the airport. I guess I didn't think about it, I don't remember, but she was saying that she did, because she was very, even on the fuss.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, then you wouldn't know anybody. And she said, I can't keep them out of the family.
That was such a good thing, but the honest was so family oriented, he wasn't gonna let that happen. It was good for us.
Yeah.
And then Ron probably didn't feel too lucky when he had to live with Mom and Daddy.
You talking about
Because it was a culture
You
shock.
talking about that mansion there that was, as Ralph would say, he had 4 rooms and a half?
That was it. And coming from you all, and goodness, and me coming to Mom and Daddy, I mean, it was a terrible culture shock. But we are so thankful that that happened and that he got sent to us. And Mama said, she never felt so sorry for anybody in her life that when they went to the little Danville airport to pick him up, that he had eaten candy the whole way. He was so sick. It was just so sick.
Nothing's changed.
As I turned 11, I'm flying by myself across country. I got a milkshake in D.C. And then from D.C. to Richmond to Danville, that turbulence. I was used to that.
I cried a lot having to say goodbye to you. Because I remember crying Dad, and I remember every time you came to visit when you were in the military, you left. Because you were my only sibling left, and then you left. So, yeah, that was sad. Yeah.
You guys went through a lot.
Yeah.
It's amazing that y'all got together, and through everything, look at the fine individuals it's produced. So,
It's unfortunate we had girls.
Yes, you did.
yep.
The aunties.
Yep. Camera sisters.
And let's not forget Uncle Herman.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about
Like I was telling Teddy yesterday, I didn't really think about it until yesterday. I didn't associate with this. But that was in 1957. He was in World War II, so that's 12 years after World War II. Here he is inheriting all this. I mean, he's nice enough to have his mother and father-in-law living with him. Now he's got 5 kids.
No, the kids came first and then the mother and father-in-law.
But
Yeah.
still, you want to have it.
Yeah.
And that's 12 years after 12 years after I got out of service. I could not afford it to do all this if I wanted to. So,
And he lost his brother in the service, right, Kenny?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he felt obligated to take care of his family too.
Yeah,
He did a lot for his sister, one of
Aunt
his
Mary and
sisters.
his
Yeah.
self
And his mother.
and his mother,
Yeah,
yeah,
I remember having him telling me,
yeah.
you know, about
He had a big heart.
absolutely.
Very nice. Remember that gorilla in the garage? My father was in the photo finishing business, so he sent
Are you all still doing
your
okay?
film into him and he developed
Can I
it.
get y'all some more drinks? I haven't been wanting to
I
bother
tell you,
you.
one thing, if you would do, if you could get the tickets out, that way we can settle up with you, and that way if we stay a little longer, you don't have to go worrying.
Two of
Well,
us are together.
let me go grab my notebook to separate all you guys. But would y'all like some more water and stuff?
Thank you so much.
Do you guys want some more water and tea?
It's okay for us to stay a little longer, right?
Yeah, that's totally fine. I just didn't want to bother you guys.
Oh, no problem.
But I know you guys need drinks and stuff like that, so I wanted to check.
Thank you.
So my dad was in the photo finishing business where we would send film in and we develop it and then send it back to you. And so we used to put it in the basement. Huh?
You roll a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get your, you develop it for them, send it back with a new roll. So we gotta send that roll
Oh,
back.
that's, see, I was young, so
But that's what I was talking, we had to do, I remember doing that in the basement.
I remember stuffing the envelopes in the basement, yeah. But we had a big gorilla that people would take pictures with. I'd be so scared to go down in that basement.
I said, I don't want to take anything away from the celebration of life for Eric. However, I'd like to mention another loss. I mentioned that we lost another family member a few years ago. We lost him. After I got out of the Navy, moved back to Virginia, I met Monroe. She was dating Leilani. I thought he was a great guy. Leilani, Leilani confirmed that by marrying him. I've always appreciated him taking great care of Leilani. Here's an example of what a good man is. I told this at Monroe's funeral, but for those who didn't hear it, here it goes. Monroe, and I told him about this right. Monroe was the regional auditor. My phone is so quick. I put it in there. Monroe was the regional auditor for Sears and was dating Leilani. Before they moved to Virginia Beach, they visited me down in Virginia. I originally completed my service in the military and was starting post-military life. I applied for credit at Sears for a large purchase, was denied because I didn't have a job or any credit. I was upset. I had money saved and nearly paid, and no credit was extended. I bragged about this problem to a few people, including Leilani and Monroe. They were sympathetic but understood Sears' reasoning for not extending credit. Shortly after, I got a job and tried to once again get credit at Sears. Got it, no problem. Years later, I found out why. Monroe had secretly guaranteed a line of credit at Sears Farm. Something we didn't have to do, but what a nice thing to do for me and my family. A good one. Leilani, when we get to the Veterans Memorial site, if you were looking at those sections, grace. We got written on those things. We appreciate his service. And we'll find other family members are also including Dad, Keith, me, Dad's brother Gilmer, and others. So let's
Sherry, just.
I see him
The ocean, I don't.
I just dried up.
All right, we ready to go?
Yes.
I have a story about her dad.
Get my maroons on.
Keith had to have 2 lines for him. As soon as you, there it is right there.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I see exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Dad's brother right there.
You pointed, but I still don't see it. Oh, really?
Right?
Get them talking.
Lonnie, you see where I got WW2? I wanted memorizement, I wanted the United States Marine Corps, and I wanted Iwo Jima. But unfortunately, what they did is they got really restrictive now. You can only do 12 characters per line. And I tried every which I could to do it, and I couldn't get WW11, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So I looked it up, and they said WW11 or WW2 is the same thing. So as far as as far as military is concerned, they're equal. So that way we were able to get Iwo Jima in.
I appreciate it.
And my brother Eric was back here.
Does it go across?
The S's are all the way across, yeah. I thought it was on this side.
It couldn't be
and it's
completely
this
in
color,
alphabetical order.
it's this color blue. It's the lighter colored blue. So I thought right there.
Tammy, is the car locked? Do you know? Oh, it is. Do you measure? Well, I was going to, I want to take a picture of everybody.
I know.
I'll look at it.
No, that's it. It's Eugene.
This was on this side of it.
I don't remember. We came out here.
Yeah, it was right next to that bench somewhere.
It's unlocked, Teddy. I just unlocked.
Here it is, right here.
Oh, okay.
Eric Setliff, U.S. Army, 1959, 1962. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's in different colors.
Again, because of the, you can see some where I kind of pitched a fit, but it didn't do me any good. But you can see some of these have a lot more than 12 characters across. But they said they did that for a long period of time, but then what happened was bricks started breaking at the edge because you're digging down it loses a lot of its structure, strength. And so instead of having to replace the bricks all the time, they limited it to 12 characters, and a space is a character.
There's Keith. Oh, there, right here.
Yep.
Where are you, Ron? Do you
I'm somewhere around here.
I don't remember that your first name was Edward.
Yeah.
I know I knew it once upon a time.
Yeah. My maternal grandfather was Edward, James Edward.
Yeah, when Keith was born, I wanted him to have my middle name and his grandfather's middle name. But I don't know, for some reason, Keith Edward just didn't seem like it flowed as good as Edward Keith. And I didn't think about the fact that what he was going to be called.
Right.
I remember one time when you were in fact, talking about Sears, you were in Sears, and over the PA system, with the parents of Edward Setliff. We didn't pick up on that. We're used to Keith.
So as he say, Edward Keith Setliff?
Yeah.
I need to take a picture. You can come.
Okay.
You get your picture. Let me take your picture. How about that? You get over there with everybody.
Just a record.
Oh, Archie, yeah. Do you know Archie? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Grew up with his girls, yeah. Yeah. Okay. He was Daddy's cousin, yeah.
You know what?
Okay.
If you get up to the P section, I remember looking at one day when I was out here, there's actually an Elvis Presley. So somebody must have paid for a brick for Elvis Presley to be out here.
Yeah, sure.
Because I can't imagine somebody else having that name, can you?
So there's Marion Setliff.
Marion, now that could have been,
Oh, yeah.
that
Now,
could have
Mom-
been your mom's
yeah.
husband.
Yeah. Mama's married, after Daddy died, Mama married.
Oh, JD. That's what
Oh, where's JD?
That's my dad.
Isn't
Right
that,
there.
that's hard to, okay, I'm still there, see.
Oh, it's right here.
Okay. Oh, JD.
Yeah, he was in the Army.
Oh, they got you the two. I guess.
He was in the Navy in World War II and the Army in Korea. So I think it was, let me think, he was, I think it was 6 years in the Navy and 9 years in the Army. So he was 15 years when he passed, just 5 years from retirement.
So he got out, but he didn't like it.
He got out, didn't like it, and so he went ahead and joined. He got out of the Navy, didn't like civilian life, so he got back into the Army.
Will you share those pictures with Ron? Sure, I'd be happy to.
Do they do these bricks here or they like send them out? Send them back?
No, there's a